morning, everyone. We are live.
Good morning.
This is our monthly coffee and consciousness. I finally did an intro. finally did an intro to this segment. And today we are going to be talking about the Black Lives Matter exposed. Candace, Candace is, I don't know if she's like a real reporter, but she has segments on YouTube and I think it's called the Daily Wire platform, which is I think a conservative website. Kind of, they have their own video shows and things like that. I don't agree with everything that she says, but I actually admire her because she's not afraid to like speak her truth, whatever that may be. So, I love that. I love when someone's like standing in their truth, speaking their truth. You got to kind of give her props for that. Can't say I agree with everything because she's conservative and some of the things it's like, yeah, okay. But on a lot of points I love. So when I came across this, I think this documentary was actually released at the end of 2022. I think October it was released around. So I don't know, you guys that are watching, if you guys have come across this video, which was a documentary basically about the George Floyd situation, Black Lives Matter, and how they raised like $80 million, and that money did not go to anywhere besides a lot of fuckery. Um, I actually have been one of those people who never truly jumped on the bandwagon of the George Floyd. I don't know how you guys felt about it before watching this. Good morning, you guys. Or if you changed your opinion since watching the documentary. But I did want to get you guys' opinion on how you guys felt about the situation, period. And then we can kind of talk about now. I'm going to pull up the documentary and we'll talk a little bit about that.
So for me, it's always been about what's what's right versus what's wrong in certain ways, and I still believe that that officer took certain things into his own hands as judge, jury, and executor, and that's just not something that I agree with on any any sense. Now, whether George Floyd is innocent or guilty or somewhere in between, for that, that doesn't quite matter in that respect for me. And that's where I've had the issue. I do believe Black Lives Matter. Now, the whole community that was created and where the money has gone, it has come into light in many different ways that it was not distributed the way that it was meant to be
Right.
distributed, and it lined a lot of people's pockets that it was not supposed to be doing. So then you have the harm in that respect as well.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Anytime, like, I know the news is going to go with their story. And unfortunately, one of the points I love about it is how people just run with anything. A lot of people don't like get facts because when shit's happening, you don't have all the facts. It's just happening. And it shows just how critical everybody's impulse and emotions are in the moment, right this second. We're not going to wait. We're just going to jump on a bandwagon and go full throttle and not kind of sit back and say, okay, wait, let's get the whole picture. My only problem with, not to say that it doesn't exist, but I get very irritated with the white cop, black person instances. We see it's like that shit hits the fan, it's all over the news. And it's like, but what about all the other killings? What about all the other black lives? Where are the marches and the protests and shit? So that's where I get like, I get that we're putting this to the forefront and we want to, but why does it always have to be televised for the black and white? You know what I mean? Like, why does it always have to be that? Why isn't it, black on black? Why any other colors? Why are we not doing the same thing? And so that's my only problem with that. It's just like, can we look at it as a whole? If we're gonna say, not that Black lives don't matter, but if you're going to be there, then do something. And I never thought like, well, I will say, just like even what's the most popular place that everyone donates? In every disaster they're there.
Red Cross.
Red Cross. But the stories behind that, like the CEOs and who pocket millions of dollars, right? Not to say that they don't help, not to say that they're not out there, doing their thing. But then you kind of realize that, well, there's a lot of people making a lot of money in these businesses. And so Black Lives Matter organization did what everyone else was doing. I can't say that I agree how the founders handled the money and, how they distributed the money, and especially from the cities that were like torn down and just demolished because of the riots and shit. Like, a lot of that money should have went back to that. A lot of that money should have went back to, it's like $80 million, and none of that went to a fucking Black community. Like, wait, what? So that was my problems with a lot of the information looking at it. Like, because the news doesn't go after that. They don't go back to see what's going on in the city. They don't go back to cover any of that. It's all the hoopla bullshit in the moment. Everyone's enraged. Everyone's um pissed off and mad, and then no one looks back. Okay, what happened? I thought it was strange that these roommates that he was living with, that none of the family had come, like none of the his stuff was still there, and like no one had went. I thought that was very strange. Like, just kind of makes you wonder on the back end some more details of it, which, not to say that he deserved to die, because that's I don't feel either way he should have died or anything like that. I do feel like there was a lot going on in that situation that just was craziness, craziness. And unfortunately, as a cop, you can make the wrong decision, and no matter what, you have to pay for that. You have to pay for that decision regardless. Somebody's in your hands, in your care, as same thing like a doctor. Someone's in your care and something happens, then people have to look at it and say, okay, what happened? um you know do I feel like he probably got sentenced probably more? I don't know. Because it's not, for me, it's not really clear. Did he really kill this man, or did, you know what I mean, or was it all these other factors going on? But still, he was in your care. A lot of speculation. And then you have the medical examiners that didn't really, I don't know if they did their job completely or not, you know what I mean, or if it was just like, nope, this is it, let's bag him and tag. I'm like, nope, we gotta have, because I mean there was a lot going on, and the fucking cities was going down, so I can kind of see how they would be like, no, we need we need a conviction, like,
Yeah.
otherwise the rest of the city is gonna fucking be torched.
Yeah, I agree. And there are so many missing links, so many missing pieces. And whichever newscast or
Right.
whoever is sharing the story is going to put their spin on it. It's never just completely, here
Right.
are the facts. You figure out where you stand within this.
Right.
And I live in one of those communities that were very damaged, not directly where I am, but I'm in the Bronx, New York. I live walking distance to Fordham Road, which was completely trashed. The stores, everything. I remember going to work. I have to pass to go to the train, and my heart completely breaking.
Mm,
But while our community did not receive that money, where I can say I am proud of my community is that people banded together to help fix it. So yeah, the money didn't come in from where it was supposed to, but
right.
the people here got up. There were teenagers, 20-year-olds, just different people out there sweeping, cleaning, and building it back. And today you mostly don't recognize the destruction that happened. When I tell you I'm not a totally like sensitive, oh my God,
Right.
everything affects me person, but just seeing that broke something inside of me for a while. But my community restored and built that piece of me back up where I was like, dang, okay, there is something that can come out of this.
Right.
And that's where I choose to direct my energy versus all the hoopla and the drama and everything else to see what we can build from there. And I know this is a little off course, but just thinking back even to 9/11, how Americans banded together after the catastrophe of what happened on that day and where we can. And I don't think it needs to be Black people or ethnic people against police or authority. It just needs to be where can we band together to show our true strength instead of always wanting to be separate and fighting against one another. No, just what can we create instead of destroy?
Right. Katrina, why you your
Right?
facial expression?
Cause I'm just sitting, I'm just listening. Cause I hear what y'all saying, but the reality of it is this is my opinion, is
Of course.
things have been done purposely to keep us separated, and the police was never created um for us. Um and it's I had a thought and I lost it. I had a thought and I swear I lost it. It's mm, oh, I know what the thought was. It's funny how when it comes to us, we end up dead, but other people do the same thing and they continually brought in alive. And I think that's where the anger and the frustration is. They continually, you sit there and you say, can't nobody be brought in alive, but you continually show that they can be. Make that make sense. The math ain't math. So it's too many, it's too many questions with no answers. You can find solutions when it suits you, when it pertains to you. If it's not directly affecting you, it's not going to be done about it until it's directly affecting you. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think that that's probably true to most people that when anything's going on, most people just kind of look the other way because, well, it's not my life, it's not my family, it's not my business, right? And we see that a lot with people kind of standing by, kind of like, that's sad. You know what I mean? It's like, that's sad. And I know there's the back and forth about it, and I'm not saying it's equal at all because we all know it's definitely not, equal on any parts. But I do feel like it's overly pushed the narrative. I do feel like it's overly pushed in the narrative. White cop, black person, and then there are cases of white people getting killed, but of course that's not the narrative. It's not shown. That's not That's not the on the mainstream. It's not going to be showed. It's not going to be put up there because that of course we want to put the chaos out there. We want to get people more pissed off and mad. We want to aggravate people. We want to, keep the separation of everyone because every time something happens, there's a lot of innocent white people that get harmed in the shit, right? There's a lot of because every white person isn't fucking racist and evil and shit. And just like what was it? Not even a year or two ago, where whatever was going on with China, then Chinese people started getting attacked, and they
Mm-hmm.
were like attacking
Because
China,
of COVID.
and it's just like that's my problem with it. It's like, why are we just running on emotions? We just running on emotions and we just going forward and we're taking all this anger out on the wrong people. People we should be taking this shit out on. They're just sitting doing what they do. You know what I mean? They're just doing what they do. Like, yeah, we got him again. you know, got him again. And I think that's my biggest problem is, and especially like the generations coming in now where they're so fucking emotional. They're so sensitive to everything going on. And it's like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, you can't say nothing, you can't talk, you can't have a conversation without someone losing their shit in the conversation. And you're like, what just happened? You know, like, what just happened? So that's my problem. I'm gonna play a little bit of it though for anyone who didn't see. Candace Owens is her name. She did the documentary. I do love that she was doing her diligence. So I give her props about that, like actually doing her diligence and trying to get the information and uncover a lot of it. It did expose the founders of Black Lives Matter, unfortunately. And it was sad for me to see that part because I feel like anyone in that position, being someone you're Black, why would you put yourself in a position to where you start being corrupt? You know what I mean? Like you're playing into the narrative that people are already talking down. It's already a thing. Why would you put yourself in this place where you wouldn't really make a difference and then show the narrative of no, we are trying to make a difference. We are really here to make a difference in our community. And that part I feel like pissed me off watching this because I was just like, you bought these homes in these white neighborhoods, you know what I mean? Way away from your communities and didn't go back to put any money into the communities. And it's just like you see this with most people who make it out of the hood or make it out of their communities, no one goes back. Barely anyone goes back to do anything or make any changes. They just go live their life in their beautiful ass mansions in their big house in their suburban areas. And then that's that. And then the cycle continues, and until we break that cycle, it's just like, what generation is going to do it? Because it doesn't seem like shit. How many generations have come and, you know, done it? I could say even myself, I ran, like as far away. Fuck that. I don't want to be associated. Like, nope, let me go. I'll spend more money on my rent so I'm not in the hood or by the hood or near the hood, or, near a neighborhood where it looks like you're not safe. So it's just like, damn. And I understand growing up in it. So I understand why people get away. But then now as I'm older, I look like, damn, where do we do? What do we do to go back and change something? What do we do to put that energy and time in? So I think that was some of my frustration watching this. But all right, I'm going to play some of it for those of you who did not see this documentary. Can you guys see the screen? Can you guys hear it? Can you
Not
hear it?
yet. I can't hear it.
Can you hear that?
No,
You guys can't hear that at
I can
all?
hear something, like I can hear the noise from it, but it sounds like background noise.
Why is it not playing? Hmm. Let me stop. Let me see if it'll play. Having technical difficulties.
But to answer Betty, yeah, there have been a lot of repressed emotions that exploded. I will agree there. And just to um backtrack a little bit, I guess what we can say with the whole Black Lives Matter and why it's been thrown at us so much, or the narrative has been pushed, it doesn't take away from the other lives that have been lost. But just like a cancer walk, when you're walking for breast cancer, it doesn't mean that testicle cancer or pancreatic cancer is less than. It's just, this is the cause that we are talking about today. Let me see. Let's see if we can hear your video.
It's like it doesn't want to work.
Spirit said, not today.
For some reason, it's not working today. I don't know why.
Because you've
Well,
done it in the past.
I know. Who knows? Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not doing it. So we'll just talk about it because I don't know what. I don't know what.
He doesn't want to cooperate.
I don't know why it doesn't want to cooperate. But go check it out though. It's a neat documentary. There's a lot of I think really good information that Candace retrieves and plays. I don't feel like people should be bad at the organization like for what it stands for, Black Lives Matter, and I don't think people should be pissed off and mad. Like I get a lot of people because as soon as you say that, then someone will be like, all lives matter. And it's like, yes, all lives matter. And I don't think there should be an issue. Just like I've seen when like Kanye had the shirt, White Lives Matter. If you want a shirt that says White Lives Matter, like that shit doesn't piss me off and it doesn't make me mad. It's just like, I think sometimes we got to pick our battles. And if you're letting a bunch of little shit like that piss you off and get you enraged, I think you need to take a step back and just kind of look at that. Whatever movement or whatever's going out there, I think there's good and bad to all of it because you can kind of look at the Me Too movement and be like, there was a lot of good out of that, but there was also a lot of fake and phony, women pretending to be victims. So I think with every movement, there's going to be truth and dishonesty in every movement that comes out. And as much as I feel like that case with George Floyd, because that's what the documentary is basically exposing, a lot of people, even the news stations that overly saturated with clips of the video and did not give the whole video of the cam on the police and just different views. They kept showing the view from the people on, I think, on along the side and not showing you the other views where I guess the police um, foot wasn't on his neck, it was on his back. So there was moments where he wasn't even on his back. So I feel like just watching that kind of opens your eyes to just not believe everything that you're looking at and really just take that step back before you just allow things to just push you in that emotional state where you're just reacting. We talk about that even when we're healing, not to react, to take that step back, because there's always going to be things that piss you off. There's going to be things that trigger you. We talk about things, trauma in the DNA that triggers you. Shit like this will trigger the fuck out of you. When you see stuff like it will definitely trigger. So that's what I was going to ask. If you guys watched it, did you watch the documentary? And if you felt different after watching the documentary?
I didn't watch the documentary, but I've watched like several different clips of him being arrested, and I had to turn it off. Like anytime that I see something like that, I instantly have to turn it off. I have a very intense of domestic violence history with men, and that level of I just it just blows my mind. Like I feel like these police officers need to be trained how to deal with their emotions, especially under stress, and not react because they're afraid. Because that's where a lot of I feel like the main aggression from going from 0 to 100 comes from, is because they're so afraid that it's survival. You survive at any cost, but they need to be trained a little bit better. You don't have to kill somebody to get your point across. You don't have to use that extreme force to get your point across. And I think they need to definitely be trained on how to de-escalate, because then it becomes well, I'm a police officer, you're a civilian, or I'm the alpha male, you're not. So I think it becomes a situation of power. Like I have more power than you should just do what I say. And if you don't have control of your emotions, that's where a lot of things escalate.
I agree to an extent. I'm going to play devil's advocate on some of this, because this is one of the things I used to be very just against the police, right? But you have to look at everything in a whole picture. If you look at it in a whole picture, try to put yourself in the shoes of that police. You can sit and try to imagine what a day in the life of someone who works in a high crime area, you know what I mean? Where their life is always in jeopardy. And I always bring up, I lived in Orlando and actually in Chicago just recently. I think she was 25 years old, police just got gunned down. And she's a Black woman, just was about to graduate, just got gunned down. And what pisses me off is because there's no march for her. There's no protest. That shit is not on the news. The same thing happened when I lived in Orlando. There was a Black woman police that got shot in the head by a guy who killed his baby mother. He was running, he was on Facebook Live, he was in the strip clubs, Facebook Live, just taunting them on the run. And then she caught him at the Walmart, and he ended up shooting her in her head dead. So on the other side of it, being a police officer and dealing with criminals, there's a lot of shit that goes on that is not put on the news. We don't see that. We don't see what they go through. We don't see what the day in the life is. So it's easy to say, you got to do this, you got to do that, but not really understand what they're facing day to day. I'm not saying every cop is good, because we know that they're not, and every cop isn't shitty as fuck. There's actually some decent ones out there. Should they get better training? I do feel they should. But how do you train someone? How do you train someone to not be scared in the line of duty? You know what I mean? I couldn't tell you that if I was there, I wouldn't react a certain way, because it's literally you against whoever the hell is. I've seen a lot of videos of people just shooting at them, shooting at the police officers, doing a traffic stop, and all of a sudden somebody is firing. And I've seen multiple of those, but that's not on the news. It's on the news, the shit to make us have the narrative that this is just happening in this one way. And we're not looking at it from the other side, because I don't think these cops would be all crazy. Not to say again that they're all not, there aren't some bad ones, but I don't think all of them are just reacting in that way if there isn't a pattern somewhere. I've seen tons of cities right now that are so, like San Francisco right now is fucking horrible, horrible with homeless crime. It has gone down. Where Oakland right now just had, where Chicago just had, where you had people tearing up the streets, just looting, rioting for no fucking reason. There's nothing going on besides them just doing what they do. This is the stuff that's not being talked about. So again, we could sit and say, yeah, it's all on the police and the police aren't doing their job. But then on the other side, crime is crazy as fuck these days, and we don't look at it from that perspective. So I kind of feel like at the same time, there's both sides to it. There's definitely both sides to it. And in the moment when shit's going crazy, you got crowds of people fucking around you. I think it's kind of hard to be calm. You know what I mean? To be calm and you don't know what's going to happen with your life. And so I do think that's where the lines get blurred, because then you do go into survival mode. In survival mode, you're always going to choose yourself first. At least that's kind of how I feel. So did it change? You said it didn't really change anything on you, Louisa. Katrina, did you watch the documentary?
We can't hear you. You unmuted, but I don't hear you. Uh-oh. Katrina lost sound.
Nope,
I
we can't
mean,
hear you.
it definitely gave me more insights watching, but it also in certain ways left more questions.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
that's why say that.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Yeah.
yep, we can hear you. Go ahead,
I
Katrina.
don't know what's going on.
We'll be right back.
I will say this. I've never cared for Candace Owens anyway. I just never cared for her. She's just never been one of the people I like. It is interesting on both, as it is. I mean, it was interesting, and like you said, I think when people start out raising money, I truly believe they start out with good intentions. I do believe they start out with good intentions. But I think when that comma behind that dollar sign grows, it's when that you got I call it
Right.
the devil and the angel on that shoulder, and you be like, oh, I think that's when they start playing that game where, okay, they're not gonna notice these few dollars in the beginning, and then
Right.
they get greedy. And what you say, it only takes one to mess it up for everybody.
Yeah.
So then when you got that one that messes it up for everybody, then that's when they want to lump us all in together.
Right.
And it's not right, but that's what they do.
Right.
So then that's when you get a snowball effect,
Right.
and it just goes downhill from there.
Right. That was kind of like one of my things. It's like, how, as a race, right? How do you move forward when you constantly got someone taking 100 steps back from all of the work being done, right? And it's sad because it's always like this major fucking shit that just is like, really, is that what you chose to do? Because when you look at it, it was just like they did nothing with the money. I mean, yeah, they sent a lot to a lot of different LGBTQ places and transgender, which come to find out the girl has a girlfriend who is transgender. But again, nothing went back to the communities or even where the whole shit started. So, and that was a sad thing. And then the strip club and all of that stuff. And it was just like, you know, that they say when you get a lot of money, your true colors shine. And so unfortunately, they weren't as loving and kind people that, you know what I mean, that they want it to be, because I think you could want to be good, but in those opportunities that when you have that choice of do I steal or not steal, and you still choose to steal, or you ever find a wallet? I've found many of wallets, and every time I have found a wallet, I have turned it in intact with all the money in it. And every time the person would come up to me, because it was in a store, and they would come up, they would, and they'd be like, oh my God, thank you so much. And I would never take anything out of the wallet. I don't care how broke I was at the moment, like, man, I need this money. But I would never touch that money, never touch anything out of the wallet, because in my gut was just like, it's not mine. This is not mine. And I would be so pissed if it was mine. That every time I lost my wallet, I was giving my full wallet back to me, money intact, just because of the way I carry myself. And I think in those moments, you're going to be tested to see what kind of person are you? Is your heart really true? Or you're going to let this moment define you? And it sucks, because you got these few people, and now here goes society, like, oh, see, they're all trash, and it's like, fucking A. And I understand how devastating it is. It's like, because I look at it like this. I have a daughter she's a black woman. She's darker than me. She's not gonna be looked at as a white woman. The most she'll be is Afro Latin. you know my grandsons will be looked at African American, and they are. They'll be looked at that. The most they'll be looked at on the Spanish side is Afro Latin. And it's like, I have struggled with my daughter, who's 26 now, is how the fuck do I teach her about her culture when it's always the most fucked up shit shown, the most fucked up shit on television? And you're just like, you know what I mean? How can you teach her to be proud of her culture? Where can we find, and even her, as now this young black woman, is struggling to find that, especially even coming with her own issues of her dad's family never even being there. You know what I mean? So it's like, how does she teach her sons how to be proud black young men? When this is the shit you see, the shit that you see constantly, like that shit that I just saw in fucking Chicago, where all them damn teens, predominantly black, unfortunately, that were tearing up shit, stopped the whole fucking bus, dancing on the bus, dragged an old couple out of their car, beat them up. The woman and the man went to the fucking hospital. They jumped some white girl. Why are we? I can't stand when I see people jumping anybody. Video of jumping, it's just like, how the fuck can you be proud of that? It just makes you feel like fuck. You know what I mean? It's just like, so watching that just kind of makes it has a lot more questions. I agree with that. So many more questions watching that damn documentary. It's like, what do you do with this information?
Yeah, that's the part. It's like, what do you do with it, and how do you find your way in this complicated world? And
Right,
like you, I'm light skinned. I know I have light skin privilege. People look at me and they see a Spanish girl, but
right,
I'm also black.
right,
And like you, my niece and my nephew have darker skin than me. And I have to worry when they go out how they will be perceived or
right,
seen in this world just because of their color. And how do you teach them to stand up for themselves and use their voices
right,
while also knowing when to stand down, not because it's the right thing to do, but because it's the safest thing to do?
right, right,
So I have two sides of that coin. I got a son that that's mixed, that looks of the other people. My mother has called the police to her house several times. Now, I will say, had he been looking like my other sons, he probably would be in jail right now, maybe shot, maybe dead.
mhm,
But and I believe because he looks like them, nothing has been done. My son has put his hands on the girl. Um, The girl defended herself as she should have, and I probably would have done more to him than what she did.
Mhm.
But like I said, had that been anybody else, why wasn't he arrested? Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Now, my grandson, who I feel like I should not have to wonder. I got my son, my grandson, my daughter, who looks, I feel like I don't worry about them, but then I also have my other sons I feel like I may get a phone call about.
Mm.
Yeah, where is that fair?
It's not, but it's our unfortunate reality. And that's where we have to learn where we stand in the society and where we can use our voices to not have to stay in this same society. Like Ariana was saying earlier, how we're, well, how the younger societies, the younger generations, excuse me, are a lot softer.
Mm.
But we need to find that voice, find that balance of, no, it's not fair, but it's not that I'm going to tear everything down. And I know why it happens. And I know people are angry. And I know when we're angry, we hurt people, hurt people, hurt people. But it's in the power of our voices and our strength and our education that can bring us out of these situations more than the destruction. The destruction gets attention, it gets the news.
Yeah, but in all the wrong ways.
Yeah. But when we stand together truly, that's when change can happen.
Yeah. I do feel like the only way things will change is when communities really come together, putting back in that community, really putting effort in that community, really cleaning up their community, really showing that there is a difference. Not to say that there aren't neighborhoods like that, but there's not enough. There's not enough. You're not seeing it enough. Why are we not making noise for this shit to be on the news? Why are we not making noise for this shit to be known? Because I literally have been looking on every platform to see, can I find awesome like news or stories? No. Black stories are all fucking ghetto, trifling, killing, all it's all it is. Over and over and over and over and over. And it's just like you can see how other races look at, you know what I mean? You can see why they look at it and have their opinion because it's all you fucking see. The news does the same thing. It's never nothing good. It's always some crazy shit. So it's like, why aren't we making that push to get the news? Why aren't we making that push to show that? And so that's my biggest problem, I think, with all of it. It's like we come together to destroy some shit, but we're not going to come together to fix some shit. You know, we hear it all the time where you see other communities put their money back in that community, they support each other in that community. You don't, but you barely see that in the Black community. And it's something we all know. It's not, I'm not saying shit that we don't all know this, you know, and it's sad. You know, it's very sad. And you just look like, again, when we're like, what can we do? It's hard. It's hard to be like, let me try to make some difference when a lot of people aren't there in the mindset. So if you're going to allow that anger to just be like, let's be destructive, then you're just proving everybody else right. I mean, that's kind of how I feel because we're not showing, oh, we've changed. We're not showing we've grown, you know. No, we're just going to do some crazy shit. We're going to spaz out. And then it's like, it's always the neighborhood that you live in that gets fucked up. And that's where my disappointment goes when I'm watching this stuff. That's where my disappointment and it like sadden. It's like I feel the sadness in my heart when I'm watching it, you know, because it's just like, why does it always have to be so destructive? That doesn't empower anybody, you know. And I know it's not that it's fair out there because again, If most people, my daughter actually gets worried about the shit out there when it comes to black and white, because I could be viewed as a white lady. Unless you know me and know I'm mixed and you just glance at me, you're going to think I'm white. And so my daughter, she gets afraid when shit's going down like that. Like, what's going to happen, to my mom. And it's crazy that when there's shit going down, there's times where I'm like, yeah, not going to the store right now. You know what I mean? I'll stay in the house. Like when Trump came into office and they were just pulling people out of fucking cars and beating them and shit. I stayed my little white ass in the house. And I know that I came out really like, my mom is dark. My mom is darker than me. She's like my daughter's color. You know what I mean? I came out my dad's color though. And it's sad because if someone just looks at you, they're going to assume, even though we know we come in all shades, all different shades. But unfortunately, I've talked about this on many podcasts about mixed children, and just, unfortunately, me and my brother didn't have the best experience in black neighborhoods. It just wasn't. We were the little white kids on the block. And so it wasn't a great experience for us. We were tolerated. But and I talked about this on a lot of podcasts. We were not looked at until someone saw my mom. Then it was like, oh, you're black. Oh, you see my mom, now you're black. Oh, okay. But my brother went through a lot more than me, of getting bullied, and getting harassed and stuff like that, and getting his stuff stolen. And, just he ended up joining a gang to have some type of backup, because he got tired of being harassed year after year after year, and he ended up joining a gang. And it sucks, when you see it. So I think there's all around, there's these moments where we're like, where can we change? Where can we grow? But I don't see the full connectedness, you know what I mean, as a black community to really come together to make change. Even you look at a lot of the black politicians that get into office, it's like you forget what the fuck you're supposed to be doing. We have Chicago has a black, is that Amir? Yeah. Who, when you hear him talk about any of the issues, it's just like, do you even know what you're doing? Do you even have a plan to fix anything in Chicago? And it's like, when these people get in office, it's like, what are you, do you forget where you came from?
And yes, I believe that they do forget, but it's also partly our issue, our responsibility, because I myself was just on a call with Richie Torres, who is a representative for my district in the Bronx. I did it with my nursing union, but where we told him what we want for him to sign up for, what bills to push.
Right.
And we had that discussion. We gave the reasons, the whys, the why it's necessary. And we got them to agree. If you want the nurses to support you, this is what you are going to push. So we have to do that same thing in our communities. If you want us to continue to support you, to vote you in, not just because you're black, not just because you're Democratic, not just because you're whatever it is, but because you're supporting the causes that we support. We elect you. We have elected you. Show us that you're worth to keep in office, or we will take our vote somewhere else. Again, that's what I mean by coming together and using your voice where it matters. They agreed to all three of the bills that we asked them to push, and not just because we went on say, yeah, we just want you to support this. No, we gave them stories, examples. We showed them why it was necessary. And again, using your voice, not to just fight and picket and go that way.
Right. I agree. It has to be the next level where we hold people accountable. We have to hold people accountable, whoever is running. And we've talked about this, I think, on a couple of podcasts where we've talked about that, using your vote, using your right to vote, not just in the presidential race, but your community, your county, your district, and really looking at who's running, who are these people who are making laws, who are these people in my state, and really looking at what's being passed in those bills. In the last couple of months, I've really been following the Senate, the House of Congress, just trying to wrap my head around how the process goes. I was following the parents' bill for a while just to see, because I kept hearing the gay bill. I'll probably talk about that on another podcast, but I wanted to see what it was, and it's not even what people were saying. It was so different from what the media is saying. So it was just like, this is the problem. This is the problem where people aren't watching, and you don't see the debates on the news. You have to go find that on different channels to actually see those debates and see Congress and how they have the hearings and stuff like that. But you got to get involved. You actually have to get involved and show up to those hearings, show up to those meetings, and voice and actually say, hey, who's your representative? And I love that you guys did that. But yeah, we have to do that as a community. Otherwise, it never, ever changes. I remember when Trump was running, and I was just like, everyone could talk shit about moving, because everybody was like, if he gets in office, I'm moving out of the country.
Canada.
And it was like, all right, y'all keep talking this shit, right? And it was like, if you don't vote, you can't talk shit. You just literally can't talk shit. And at the time, I chose not to vote for him or Hillary because I didn't like Hillary. And I think that even also us as minorities need to not just jump on the bandwagons of Democrats just because you feel like you're a Democrat and they got your back. Because I don't feel that every Democrat is for us, or is really, I'm not even any party. I'm not listed as any party anymore. I've detached from any parties because I feel like I don't care what your party is. Can you do the fucking job? That's what I look at. And I don't affiliate myself with any of them because I feel like they all have some good points, and then they all have trash points that they say and the ridiculousness that comes out of their mouth. But just listening and getting more into like what they're trying to pass on the gun laws, just things like that. It's like, really get out there and get involved. And when you're seeing shit, it's so easy to sit and just talk shit. And I think we've done that for decades. We've talked shit for decades. Now it's time for, okay, action. But we don't see that. Why? I asked you guys who watching, why? What's the lack of getting involved with your House speakers? There's actually people who speak for the people. And I didn't even realize that till I really started looking at the House and the senators and all this stuff in Congress. And I was like, you have this person called this speaker, and they keep talking about they're speaking for the people. And it's like, who appointed them? And yes, people appointed them. And it's like, do we even know who our fucking speaker is in our community, in our counties, in our districts? Yeah. Trump actually has some good points, but he's a fucking asshole. The thing about Trump is a businessman. The only thing I could say that I can give him credit is he's out with whatever he wants. He's not lying to you. It's just here. Like, fuck you. This is what I believe. You like it or you don't, kiss my ass. I don't agree with everything because he's a womanizer. He's very misogynistic in so many ways. But he actually, in his running, I saw some of his campaign. It's crazy that he's still fucking running, even though he's been indicted, guilty. This lady coming out, guilty with this lady who says that, I don't know if it was rape or just sexual assault or whatever.
I don't remember.
And he's still running. He still has majority of the fucking vote. I don't agree with Trump being president again. That wouldn't be my choice. I just hope that the people that are running up, and I'm actually doing my diligence to look at who's coming up. I actually like, I don't know, I can't remember if she's Republican. I think her name is Miriam Williamson, I think is her name. She's a woman running. I've been kind of watching her because I don't like Biden. I don't know who voted for Biden, but whoever voted for Biden, I'm sorry. He is definitely not all there. I mean, I don't know. Trump has a lot of backing. He's very popular already, and they're only in the beginning of it. So I don't know. Everybody else better step up their game because Trump seems to be very popular right now with the vote. I'm not saying that he's a good candidate. I just have to respect anybody who speaks what they say. Because remember, when we talk about free speech, it's always we're always in this free speech until someone says some shit we don't like. And then it's like, oh no, fuck that, fuck you, you shouldn't be saying that, you're a piece of shit. And it's like free speech goes both ways, you know. I can agree that I don't like what you're saying, and I can agree to disagree to what you're saying, but I have to give people props to just speaking their mind, regardless to if it's hateful or not. Again, I don't have to agree with it, but against free speech goes both ways. So we actually I have to give people props for just standing in their ugly truth, you know, despite if I don't agree with it or not. Yeah, I don't know who wanted Biden, but I don't think Biden and Trump pretty much have like majority of the votes right now, which sucks because I don't like either of those choices, to be honest. I really don't feel like Biden should be do another 4 years. Mm-mm. No.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot lacking with our current candidates, but that is neither here nor there. I guess, like Monica said, I think it was Monica. Yeah, I also believe he was the lesser of the two evils.
I don't know because in the past couple years, and I know this show started on Black Lives Matter, but you know, Biden is passed some stuff in the past couple years that even when you're looking at healthcare and the affirming care got in place, and I can't remember, was it 2016 or 2015 or whenever it was approved, but you got basically people who are getting cosmetic surgery covered by the insurance under the affirming care. But if I feel like I need a tummy tuck, my ass got to pay for that shit. You know what I mean? Like I have to pay for it out of pocket. But if I was to say this, that, and the third and be under the affirming care, people were literally getting mastectomies, getting vaginal plasties, getting, you know, penile construction, all under the healthcare. Is that okay?
Are they getting, you said mastectomies or
Yes.
vasectomies?
No, mastectomies, getting their breast cut off.
So are they getting the mastectomies because they did the DNA test and as part of their care plan? I mean,
No,
or are they just going in saying that they just want to cut out?
it's under the Affirming Care Act. So if you say, I am a boy who is trapped, I'm a girl trapped in a boy's body, and I want my breast cut off, all you have to do is see the therapist like once. They write you a script. You get
Oh,
your
so
head
you
up.
talking about the transgender
Yeah.
that part? Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you meant if I go in and say if I go in and I it had to do with like breast cancer or something like that.
No, see, that's
Oh,
the problem. See, if another woman went in there and was just like, "Oh, I don't want these breasts. Can you take them off?" You're going to be denied. You know, like my daughter has huge breasts. She's been denied surgery tons of times, even though she has back pain. She has a lot of stuff going on, and they won't do it. They keep giving her the runaround. So my problem with that is that I know that there's there's people that are going through what they're going through, but you basically have people getting cosmetic surgery under their insurance plan. So, and you have other people who can't get that. Like I can't go get a BBL just because I feel like my ass should be bigger, you know. So I feel like there's some things that have affected us because a lot of people have to pay for that. I'm sure premiums went up in the past couple years. That money has to come from somewhere. So all the people who are paying for the affirming care, you know, you might not even know that you're paying for it in your premium. And I just think that there's some things that are like aren't the best for us. aren't the best for society. The economy actually is really shitty right now when you look at a lot of stuff. Inflation is at an all-time high. Stocks are fucking trash right now. Like, if you're looking at any of this stuff financially, you're just like, what the hell has happened? Like, anybody else seeing this shit?
There's certain things that are being seen, but we sometimes, and I'm not saying that there isn't stuff to put the blame on whoever's currently in office, but there's certain things that it's a buildup, and the crescendo just happens to happen when someone else is in office. So that's something, I guess, for us to also take into account. Just like when the other one was in office, there were things that Obama might have put into place that crescendoed during his time. And it all falls together. And I do believe the presidents are, in most cases, I do not believe the last one, but in most cases are more of a figurehead than anything else. I don't think they have all of the real power that we attribute to them. So it's not a one man show where, okay, oh, this person is in office and all of this happened, and look at how the world has gone to crap.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Definitely. I don't feel like it's just Biden. I just, you look at where we're at, and it's like we've gone downhill. And our country, even now with the US dollar not even being, we were top. Everyone used the US dollar, to now countries are pulling out and using China's money. You know what I mean? Just even stuff like that, where we're like, we've never seen this shit happen. And not to say that this shit didn't need to happen, because I do feel like there's a need to it, right? The US got very cocky, sitting up on their high horse, thinking that we was just always going to be top notch. And now we're being shown real quickly that y'all ain't top notch no more. But the other back end of that is, I think it coincides with people look at America like we're weak. And I feel like when you got countries looking at your country weak, they're not going to fear you anymore. And a lot of people don't think, like, a lot, when we call the US a bully, we look at it as being a bully. But in actuality, you're like, well, when people feared us, we actually, were able to stay at a certain stance. But now, take that away, where is the US going to fall? We could sit here all day and act like we could be invaded at any moment, because of the switch, because of the change. And us, who have never been through any type of war like that, we've never seen anything like that on US soil, right? Probably since they came over here and, did what they did in Columbus days. That type of shit. We've never seen that. So now we're coming to the reality that this shit could be real now, because the US is not top. And so I think things like that, it's like, where the hell are we going? We have all of this shit going on at once. And that's not one thing, it's all major shit crippling all at the same time. And then we're so fucking divided as people.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I'm not gonna say it's just Biden. Unfortunately, it's not just Biden. But you could just see it severely has fucked up. And unfortunately, I don't think that Biden. I don't feel his mind is there to really have sense. And whoever is pulling the strings, but we already know the president he's a puppeteer anyway. Whoever's in that seat is going to be a puppeteer to the real people who run the country. If you don't understand that by now, you will never understand this country. But even more so, with him not having his mind all there, I think even more so, it's just like, all right, well, we have him for show, but who's really, what's really the agenda behind it, and who's really, there's no pushback. He's not there in his mind. So I don't know how effective he is right now in office. Yeah, I think that's probably one of the things that irritates me when I hear the billions of dollars going to certain things, and it's just like, but you got cities where like LA, where I think it's syphilis that's a fucking outbreak right now in the homeless community in LA because of how bad the LA has gotten. LA has gotten horrible. Anyone who knows LA knows LA's had a horrible homeless problem. Yeah, syphilis, I think, outbreak over there. And then again, in Northern California, also homeless. There's a lot of places that the homeless is
Yeah.
just like crazy right now, and just diseases and just and it's like we haven't even took care of these fucking issues in our own country, but we send in billions to other countries. I don't understand that.
Yeah, that is something I agree with. I've never quite understood how we put so much money into these foreign actions and not take care of our own society. As I'm sure everybody can tell, community is big to me.
Yeah.
So not taking care of your community is mind-boggling to me in so many different ways. And yeah, I agree. The current president always takes on the last president's BS. They are always held for the responsible for the person before them. Yes, I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
And
It sucks. Yeah, it sucks. Again, I did not vote at all with Trump and Biden because again, it was just like one of those things. I'm not just going to vote to be voting because again, no vote is a vote. That's a choice. My choice was not to vote for either of the people that are sitting in that seat. I just can't throw my vote like that behind them just because you're a Democrat, I'm gonna, and I just think for me, I used to be a Democrat, and then it took me time to like really look at the parties and listen to them. And when I listen to Democrats and Republicans going at it in um these damn hearings and stuff, it's always far right and far left, and it's it gets on my nerves. It's like, can either of you just fucking come to the middle? Like, can we meet in the middle? Why does it have to be all over here? And it's like it feels like it's just we're gonna oppose just to oppose. Oh, you
yes,
said this, I'm gonna oppose you just because I'm a Democrat, or I'm gonna oppose you just because I'm a Republican. And it just is
agree.
like I can't get down with that.
Yeah. But I know some people who've gone into the elections, and even if they didn't vote for who the president was, there's other
Yeah,
candidates there for other positions. So I know some people who do that. And
yeah,
like Monica mentioned, they do have the other parties there.
yeah,
Most people know, though, that those parties are most likely not going to get elected.
right. Yeah,
And I know for me, and it might be a wasted vote or not, but if I don't agree with neither side, I do the writing.
right. And it's your choice what it's your choice what you do with your vote. I personally am not just going to go in there voting for just anybody. Like, I think you need to do your diligence and look at the parties and not just pick the lesser evil. Like, that's my personal opinion on it. You guys can continue to do what you do, but like I said, when Trump and Hillary was running, I voted for Obama both years that he ran. Again, I have to believe in the person that's running. I'm not just going to vote for somebody just because they're running. I won't do it. Again, you really have to look at how you show up in your choices. And I feel like just having that blind eye to be like, well, this one's a less, let me just throw my vote over there. To me, that I couldn't do it. I'd rather not vote for you know what I mean? I would rather not vote for them and just be like, no. Um, but I do look at especially like where I'm at and who's running locally, not just the presidency. So looking at who's local, looking at who's running again in those elections, paying attention to those as well. You know, all of those seats count. Senate seats, Congress, all of that stuff counts. And I don't think most people do diligence to know who's their senator, who's their, mayor. You know, who fucking knows who their mayor is? How many people know who their mayor of their city is? How many people know who their senator is? How many people know how many Congress, House representatives? And again, I've just been getting more in tuned of all of that stuff to make kind of open my eyes about just politics on another level. And it's interesting to watch the parties go back and forth and how they, do their how they pass bills, and who's on our side and who isn't, and getting involved because they have public hearings. That's the beauty of it, is they have public hearings.
But yeah, like you say, it's about getting to know who's running, what they support, and what you can do to get your voice heard by them.
Hmm. Definitely. Because, yeah, I'm not just voting for anyone just because, again, unfortunately, we have a lot of people in office that have not, stepped up to the plate and made changes. Their cities or their states have actually gone down. They're passing laws, crazy, these bills that are being passed left and right. And I think, who just passed a law that banned AR rifles? One state just passed it. Can't have the AR rifles. I can't remember what state it was. And I was like, oh shit, a state actually voted on that? I can't remember. If anyone knows, drop a comment, but I can't remember the state. But yeah, there's one state that finally was like, no more. Because you guys know, mass shootings, we've had like 190 mass shootings this year. We're only in May.
It looks like as of April 2023, California, Connecticut, Delaware, DC, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, and Massachusetts.
Oh, they all went ahead and
Yeah, I don't know when they did, but I think it was Washington State joins in the ban. It looks like a new article. Yeah. So Washington State is probably the newest one.
okay. And it's interesting that and you guys, I don't believe that, of course, I don't believe banning guns is going to take away the mass shooting problem, because the people who do mass shooting are mentally ill, right? They got issues. There's shit wrong with them. And there's a lot of illegal guns in this fucking country. So I don't think that's really going to help. But I don't care for people to have guns either. Like, I'm not a gun owner. I'm not for or against guns. I think the bigger problem is I feel mental health. Like, that, for me, that's the bigger problem. Mental health is the problem. These people like are deranged, and just like a criminal is going to go get a fucking gun to commit crime. They're not registering the fucking guns. They're not going through, with their IDs to go buy guns. No, they know someone. They're going to go get it, because we know there's illegal weapons here. So passing gun laws, is it going to help? I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. We'll see how that happens. But I think criminals will still be criminals. And it's a little scary when you have a lot of these cities that are defunding the police. They're defunding the police stations. So you have less of that going on. Some of these laws that, like in Illinois, I don't know if they passed it, but they were going to pass where if someone was breaking into your home, the police aren't going to come, basically. So you would have to take it upon yourself to figure out what you're going to do. And I'm like, interesting. And then people who did commit certain crimes could bail themselves out or be put out, wouldn't stay in jail. So it was like, some of these crimes is crazy as fuck, and these people are just going to get out of jail. because I guess population is too much. So it's just like they're trying to not keep people in jail. And it's like, interesting. So now you're lessening the police force. What the fuck does that look like for everybody else in society that looks like right now where everybody's going crazy? Everybody's losing their fucking minds right now. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It's a little scary. It's a
Yeah.
little scary. I guess we will see, y'all.
I will continue to pray for our society as a whole.
It's a lot. I feel you know what, and the crazy thing is this past month alone of just researching a lot of these different topics for the podcast has led me down all the holes. And I was like, damn, have I been this far off of society? Have I been this unplugged where a lot of this shit was just like happening and I didn't see half of this stuff? And now that I'm getting back into stuff, unfortunately, it's rough. It's rough out there for a lot of different places. And it looks like that we're going to have some type of horrible crash, especially in the United States, for us to truly make some change, which
Yeah.
sucks.
Sadly, that's when we change. Like I mentioned
Mhm.
earlier with 9/11, or how the world crashed during the beginning of COVID,
Right.
and you have to figure out a new way. And the world changes as these tower moments happen. What's up, Katrina? Speak on it.
She got that expression like,
I'm just gonna say, I gave up a long time ago. It is what it is. Y'all know me. I gave up a long time ago. I have no faith. I ain't got nothing in this world, this country, this planet. It is what it is. I think somebody just need to go and hit the button and
Oh Lord.
reset. That's just my opinion. Anyway,
Katrina
we
said
say,
restart.
yeah, we just need a whole new do over.
reset
But
it
you
all.
say the 9/11 moments and these tower moments. Every time we have a time moment, shit get worse. So
It got to get worse to get better, because
mhm.
we're not building that solid foundation when we are getting back.
So we keep having these reset moments, the opportunity to learn from our mistakes, which we're not learning from our mistakes. When they say when you know better, you do better. So we ain't knowing better and we ain't doing better. So yeah, you got the answers to the test that you're still failing.
Right.
So the math still ain't mathing.
Right.
You ain't learning from history.
Right.
You ain't acknowledging your mistakes. You ain't acknowledging your BS. So
Right.
yeah, how this finna work out? How? When we gonna get off this merry-go-round? When we gonna get off this ride?
When your time comes, when it says, all right, Katrina, you have had your last breath.
Yeah,
Goodbye
like I
until
said,
maybe next
I'm
time.
still waiting to get picked up. My ride ain't came and got me
Exactly. It's not time yet. But unlike Katrina, I don't just feel hopeless or like that everything is gonna needs to restart. I do believe we need to do our parts, and just energetically, it's what we put out there also. And that's not the energy I'm putting out. I know it exists. I acknowledge. I do what I can to help with that energy. And I also reevaluate myself and my thoughts, because I saw something again, just a little bit unrelated, but talking about people with addiction, how I may see this person leaning over thinking, dag, look at them just hooked on drugs. But if I looked at it a different way, wow, this is somebody that's calling out for help. So that's the way that I am currently trying to pursue these things, where I reevaluate my thought process, because I don't think the way everybody else thinks, just like most people don't think how I do. But if I can come to an understanding, then I can do something more than just, oh, I see you have a problem. I'm just going to do whatever I think you need, what I think is right. And if you don't accept it, well, what's wrong with you for not accepting what I am offering? No, I'm going to meet people where they are at and put out the energy that I would like to receive back. And I'm just taking this in every aspect. When I am seeing these police officers that are standing, I work in Harlem. For anybody who's in New York, I'm on 125th Street in Harlem, and it can be crazy there. And we have police all over now. And I just try to give them that kindness that I can project to them, knowing that I am thankful for the presence that they have and for the risk that they're putting themselves in. There was literally, when I was walking to the train on Friday, this man bent down and picked up a brick, and I heard him arguing with somebody. As I'm walking, I see these two officers, and I didn't even stop. I just said, there's a man right there who just picked up a brick, and I kept going and let them do with the information what they would. I gave the direction with my face, and they did what they had to do. There's only but so much, but we do our part where we can. And that, at least that's where I am. I'm going to do my part where I can and allow people their purpose to do things the way they see fit.
Yeah. I can agree on that point, because I think that when as a whole, if you try to take on the problems of the world, you will get overwhelmed with the problems of the world, and that's where you sink in of the despair, the despair of, oh my God, the world. Not saying the shit ain't going down out there, because sometimes even I have to get to this point and release all that I'm seeing, release all the energy that I'm taking in, for what I do, just to get content and look at stuff. And it's a lot to take in and just look at. But I do agree, even on my side, of just that same point of, what can I do with the means that I have? What am I able to do? How can I use my voice with the means that I have? Because you can't take on the world. You can't fix the world's problems, you know but doing that, what we think is little, right, creates waves. We know that even though it might seem small, whatever you do creates waves in your life. So even the people that you deal with or talk to or help, or however, or they come across this podcast or something like that, and then that creates more waves into life. And I feel like that's how we all have to, what can I do? What can I do? But not taking on the whole fucking world, not taking on all of the problems. There's just no way for one person to be fucking Superman, Superwoman, and running around trying to save everybody. I always talk about that. Spirit made that clear to me in the beginning. Like, you can't save everyone. I kept getting that message like over and over. You can't save everyone. And I just feel like, but why? I just want just want everyone to be happy and not be hurting. And I had to have the rough kind of shake, like, no, you can do what you can do in the means that you have. And I do feel like you have to be able to do that. Not just pick your battles, but know, is this something that I should get involved in? Is this something? And we can look at the guy the guy on the train who, they're the homeless guy, and he's erratic. He's harassed other people, but this guy who decides to jump in, and then you kill somebody. You know what I mean? And you still have to pay the price for that life. Like, you may have been trying to save people, you may have been trying to help, but you still took a life. There's no going around that, you know? And it's one of those things where you have to be like, is this something that I need to jump into? Because there's going to be some type of consequence from me getting into whatever I'm about to get into, or whatever I'm about to say, or whatever I'm about to deal with. There's going to be some type of consequence. That cause and effect is out there. And I don't agree with all of us just turning our cheek either and waiting for it to be our family, waiting for it to be our problem, because I think that's where we also mess up as a society too. It's not my problem. It's not my cause, has nothing to do with me, you know. And I've kind of thrown it on a lot of points of when we're looking at, and even like on this, just to use to bring these points up to say, let's look at this and really kind of say, okay, let me take a step back and look at me. What can I change? What can I do? Because it is overwhelming.
Hell yeah.
You could get very disappointed and just be like how Katrina's like, there's no hope. Because my daughter is like that, where she just gets overwhelmed and she's like, there's nothing, there's not, this country is shit, it's this, and she's over it. And I understand where she's coming from, but a part of me is also like, but I still am doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I'm still here doing my part.
Yeah, we are all the branches in this tree of life, holding it up, like Monica says. And
Right.
that's all we can do. And sometimes it is about making those hard decisions. I myself had to do that the other day on the train, where there was this man who was just acting very, very strange, and he was hitting the poles and looking at this mother and daughter and just like staring in their face. And he was white and they were white, so it had nothing to do with race. And he just kept on, and I could see the daughter, she was maybe about between 8 and 10. She looked nervous, like she kept looking up but interacting with her mom, and I'm like making eye contact or trying to with the mom, but I only was able to with the daughter, who, I gave her a little reassuring smile. But eventually, like, he looked at me, he made this strange look, and I got up and just left the train, even though everything in me wanted to say, hey, come with me, guys. But
Right.
sometimes you just have to make that decision, and sometimes they're hard and you don't know which one is the right one. Should I have interfered? Now the mom saw him too, so it wasn't that she didn't know, because he literally sat right in front of them at first, and then he moved and then sat next to some other lady and just watching them. That lady got up and moved, so it wasn't just me thinking he was strange.
Right.
And it was like, once he made eye contact with me, the train doors opened at that minute. And I
Right.
was like, oh, I'm just going to take action and I'm out of here.
Right. It's like what they call the bystander effect. And that's come up a lot recently. We went over it in psychology, and then I saw this, and I'm actually gonna talk about it on another segment, but I had this girl's TikTok had came up. And she was telling a story of being in, I think it was high school. And she said one day she went into class, and it was like this teacher had been nice and beautiful all year round. And all of a sudden they walk in class and the teacher's like, shut up, don't say anything, sit down. All the desks were in the circle and there was a table in the circle. And the teacher was like, if you move, you fail my class. If you talk, you fail my class. If you get out of your seat, you fail my class, And so everyone sits down, and then before the teacher walks up to the table, there's a goldfish, a jar with a goldfish. The teacher takes the goldfish out, puts it on the table, and walks out of the classroom. All the kids are sitting around looking at this goldfish, and she's explaining how she's looking at other people, they're looking at her, nobody's getting up, and she's like, they're panicking, but they're not talking, they're just looking at each other, until finally one girl, not the girl who's telling the story, but another girl, gets up and she says, fuck this shit, and she grabs the goldfish and puts it in the back in the jar, and the teacher comes right in and says, she says, look at what society has done to you guys, that you would rather not fail this class versus help the goldfish. And so it was part of that kind of the bystander effect of, what are you going to do when you're standing there and something's going on? Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to do what you think you're going to, or someone told you to do, or are you going to act from your heart or your gut? Or are you like, what is it? What's going to be your reaction? And I think sometimes it's hard to make that decision. It's easy to be like, oh, if I was in that class, I'd have jumped up and got, goldfish. But these are these kids that are like, I got told what to do. I'm supposed to sit here and not say nothing. I'm going to get in trouble. They've been conditioned to obey what you've been told, right? And it shows how you can be conditioned. It shows how you can be indoctrinated. It shows how you can be manipulated into believing something. And when some shit happens, then you don't react a certain way, And I just think it's pretty crazy that, it's easy to say something till you're sitting in that seat. And then you got to make some decisions. And then your limiting belief systems come up and your fears come up, right?
Yes.
This is against the law, or this is against this, or this is, I think it's pretty trippy.
It really is. You never know what you're going to do until you are literally in that situation.
Mm-hmm. My daughter always talks, me and my daughter go back and forth because she's the type that will crash the car before she hits a squirrel. I am the type that is not going to crash my car for a squirrel, but I'm not going to purposely run it over either. You know what I mean? Like, if I can stop, I'm going to stop, but I'm not going to purposely crash and kill, get us into an accident for the squirrel. Like, and I love animals, but I'm just not going to like, and then we get into a bigger accident. Like, that's not going to happen. And we always go back and forth and joke. And my mom is the one like hit the squirrel. So there's,
you got all three.
Huge differences in the way that we see it, but that's how society is. You have one person that's like, fuck that person, they need to die. And then you got someone else that's like, no, save everyone, And then you got the person like, I got to pick and choose my battles here. Like, I'm not just jumping into this shit. And you see that. Like, I've seen stuff of just even some guy like socked some lady on a subway, and he was yelling at her and just hits her, and like everyone's just standing there because it's like, what do you do? Jump into this fight? I mean, what are they really gonna fucking do in this moment if someone is assaulting somebody else?
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm the 911 person though,
right?
So that's why I'm not against the police, because I would call them in a minute.
I'm like, because honestly, that might be the best thing you can do in that moment, besides jumping in it and then risking one getting hit or killed in it, or you killing someone else in it, right? So calling 911 would probably be the best thing. But you'll see people videotaping it, but who's calling 911? It's like, everyone wanted to get this on film for some fucking likes. No one wanted to call 911. I'm like, please, someone save us.
Yeah. But that's definitely my role. Oh, I have had many a moment where I'm like,
right.
I'm not with adults filming things, and it'll be children. I'm like, what? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I don't know.
It's the generation of anything for likes. I've noticed that people these days will do anything for likes and views. And it's become a society of the more views I get, kind of thing. I seen like this grown ass man and woman that I think it was a TikTok. and they were running through the damn store and they were opening up the ice creams. He was telling a girl to lick them. She was licking in the ice creams. Big, the big things. So I don't buy anything that doesn't have the,
Low.
seal and shit. I don't buy nothing that don't got a seal. If it don't got a seal, I ain't buying the shit. They're licking the fucking ice creams, putting them back in, running through the store. And I'm like, one, y'all are too fucking grown to be doing this shit. Okay. And again, here we go with the generations of I'll do anything for likes, I'll do anything for money. So it's like, what are y'all doing for y'all soul? Like, you'll just do anything for this shit. You don't give a fuck who it hurts. That's why people are videotaping people getting hurt versus actually fucking helping or calling 911. It's like crazy to me. And that's what you see. You just see it over and over and over again. And you're like, social media, as beautiful as it is like the downfall of our society at the same time. It really has hindered the generations coming up. Like, I feel the generations coming up are dumber. I'm sorry. Like, they think that they're more intelligent, like, because of electronics. I don't see it. I actually feel like they've been dumbed down because of the social media and the way it is, and just so like instant. Everything is instant, and everyone believes everything that they see on social media. They see 1 5-second clip and it's like, oh, that's the truth. And I'm just like, what happened? I'm glad I was like one of the last generations before social media.
Yeah, we had actual encyclopedias and had.
Right.
Do you remember the card indexes at the library?
Right. Had to do work. We had to do work. I had to go actually check out books to do projects. You had to go find this shit. And now it's like, I even remember the typewriter. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I'm from that generation where this typewriter was still hanging on for a little bit. And computers were coming in, but computers weren't like the most you used was maybe Word. Probably when I got into college, we were using Word for papers. That's it. We weren't really using it for too much. But yeah, it's crazy. I'm like, we actually had to put in work, and now everything, most people are on Wikipedia, and Wikipedia, if you guys don't know this, anyone can update Wikipedia. So if you've been going on Wikipedia like, oh, this is fact, anybody, you can go and add your 2 cents in it. So I'd be very careful in what you're looking at and taking as fact, as even like, you Google something and there's all of these small websites. If you ever notice you're reading some of these articles and people can't spell and the grammar's all off and you're like, who the fuck edited this shit? Like, who approved this to be on it? But anybody can have a website. Anybody could create a news website. So you really have to make sure, who am I getting this information from? And is it legit? Like, can I cross-reference this information with other places? But do you think anybody does that? Hell to the no. I miss those days. I think the kids of today are very very privileged. All of them. They are very entitled and very privileged. They need to just shut it down and make them all go to the library and do they fucking make their ass go get some books and go to the library. Make them do it the other way. Make them write that shit by hand and then type that shit. I'm like, dude,
No spell check.
no autocorrect, no Grammarly, no nothing. No nothing. Just get that paper with all that red back and have to correct it. Like the fucking entitlement is real. You guys, you've seen the reparations, like California passed they approved, I think it was Congress, they approved for reparations. I think it's 1.2 million that was approved, right, for California residents. And I was like, okay, so if anyone thinks they're getting big money out of this, by the time they divide that up in between how many millions of fucking people live in California, I was like, y'all not getting a fat check. So no one think you about to get rich off this shit. It's not going to be what you think.
No. Just like the big class action lawsuits for
Right.
millions, but
Right.
it's
Isn't it
divided by
Facebook?
millions.
Right. Isn't it Facebook? I think I've been seeing one on Facebook that's like a couple million. But I'm like, by the time they divvy that up, you're going to get what, $5?
You might get 10 cents.
Like who's going to do all that? And then they're going to kick you off Facebook. If I didn't have businesses on Facebook, maybe I would sign up. But I'm like, that sounds suspect to me. I'm not joining that class action, because it's like, how much are you truly going to get in this class action? Out of the millions of fucking people that are jumping on this? Yeah, no, I'm good. I don't know if you guys like, and we'll probably save this for another show on the reparations, how you guys feel about that. But maybe we'll do that on next month's show, and we'll talk about that. I think it's interesting, think it's an interesting topic to talk about, but we'll see who else falls through on passing it.
Brrr.
I was like, so do you have to do a DNA test to see how Black are you to get the reparations? Does it matter?
I think so.
Do you got to do a DNA test? Do you got to be so much percentage? How does that work?
Didn't they do that for American Indian or something?
I know them. For them to qualify for stuff, they have to be a certain percent.
Yeah.
Right? To be even considered.
I know when because me and my aunt have been working on it, and to be accepted into a tribe, they do not take a DNA test. They won't accept a DNA test. They want it's a package you got to put together. They want the actual roster of that tribe. It's like a whole list of
your relatives.
That you have to submit to the council, and it's like an extensive process, but they do not accept the DNA test
to be in the tribe.
To be considered. Yeah, I know you have to be. And they I don't know how they do the percent. I mean, like, I don't know how they calculate that with just knowing your background of what percent of Native American you are. But I know you have to be a certain percent to be considered. You know what I mean?
I know when me and my aunt initially started it, it said they only went back a certain amount of generations. I can't remember how far, but it said it only went back a certain a number of generations. It was like a cutoff, because I guess at that point, after that, it's like kind of like your bloodline is kind of watered down.
Yeah.
So it's like a cutoff. So yeah. But at this point, we kind of like stopped, and I don't know when she wants to like continue on, but it's definitely been an interesting journey. I will say that.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do that. It'll be interesting to see what people do. I'm not for it or against it personally. It don't make no difference to me. I know a lot of people got opinions on it, but it's like, I just think it's one of those things. So we'll save that one for another time. So if you didn't watch the documentary, it's a really cool one to watch. Again, go watch it, you guys. What was the damn name of it? I forgot the name
The
already.
Greatest Lie Ever Told, banned documentary by Candace Owens and Foe.
Oh, I know it's on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube. That's where I watched it. It's actually the full documentary on YouTube. Or if you follow the Daily Wire, I know it's on that one. And again, I don't agree with everything that Candace Owens says, but I do agree with a lot of points that she has. I actually follow her podcast, her show, and I just like how she does some of her stuff. But I know a lot of people don't like her.
I'm with Katrina on this one. She is not my favorite person.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like her, but I can understand a lot of. I've just heard a lot of points on her background, her story, and then just a lot of things that she does say, and I do agree with some of the stuff she says. Not everything, but she does have some points about some things. But I know she's not liked. Definitely not liked in the Black community. She's definitely not liked at all. She just has a certain opinion, and it comes off. I see how it can rub people the wrong way. Definitely see that.
Yes.
But I suggest y'all go check her out and see, make your own opinion on her. Again, I can't say I agree with everything because some people are just too far. I don't know what conservatives are called. I don't think they're left or right. I don't know if they're
Far
in.
right.
Are they far right conservatives?
Yeah. Or the good old boys.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of conservative point of view. I just don't, because they're more church based and faith based. A lot of them. I mean, from the conservative I've seen, I don't know. I don't want to claim like I know all of them, but they seem to be that preachy,
That is the presentation that they give.
right? Bible preachy. I mean, that's kind of what I've seen, or at least that's what they say. I don't know no
Like, I
conservative
don't
in real
know.
life,
So I don't know
right?
what they're doing.
I don't know them all from what they give off and speak about. It seems like they're very Bible church kind of.
Mhm.
So their aspect of they're looking at it through those lens, which normally is around God and the rules and those things, and like okay,
Yeah, it's very conservative.
right? It's like oh okay, it's like oh so to each his own. That's why I say freedom of speech. You are free to believe whatever you want to believe and think whatever you want. And I am someone who backs freedom of speech, and if I back that, then I have to be okay with people and their shenanigans also. And not okay with it. I don't want it to sound like I'm okay with it, but at least like you're free to spew your shit.
Mhm.
You're free to say what you want to say. I don't gotta watch you, right? I don't gotta watch you.
I agree. There freedom of speech, but there's also repercussions, and you have to know that that is going to be a part of your freedom of speech, because just like we all have our freedom of speech and we give it to others, we are free to respond
Yeah.
to whatever is said.
Hell yeah. I have a new segment coming on the podcast channel, the Thicc Goddess Energy channel, which is going to be reacting to a lot of things. With that comes backlash. It just does. Because when you have an opinion, people are free to disagree. And it's okay. I'm like, you can disagree. You don't have to believe or think. We all have our opinions. But yeah, there is. You're not, once you put this shit public, it's out there. You know what I mean? It's out there and it's free for people to comment and say their opinion back. And some people are going to say some shit that you're not going to like. Some people are going to get triggered with what you fucking say. I'm a very triggering person, apparently. Also, it is what it is. And I think you need to be okay with that. You need to be okay with with some people. I've done some on, even on my Instagram. I've done a couple of those where a lot of people have jumped on a couple of the reaction ones that I've done. And some of the reactions just be like, where the fuck do you come up with this shit, people? Like, where the fuck does this come from? But you're just like, you know what? That's your opinion. And sometimes I have to tell people, like, just can you not be demeaning to the other person, you know, because some people start going back and forth in the damn comments. And I'm like, can you just not cuss the other person out? Like, why does it need to go there? Like, just state your opinion and keep it to where you're not threatening somebody else, because then I got to block you. And I think I've had to block a couple people on my Instagram from just doing too much, just taking it all to another level that it's just like, So we'll see how that goes. All right, you guys, we're going to wrap this up because I know we're already at the 2-hour mark. But again, my point of the documentary is really the points that we made today. And just, you guys, when you're watching any social media outlets, news outlets, like, make sure to take that step back and really do your diligence before you jump on a bandwagon. I don't care what content it is. I don't care what source it is, what it's about. Before you make that final decision of what you think you believe in, sometimes you need to wait for more information, because that breaking news is never the whole story of what's going on. And there's always things. And it's crazy because most people don't know, most of these news outlets are owned by a parent company. Like CNN and Fox News are both owned by a parent company. Disney owns, I think it's either NBC or CBS. Disney owns that one. So if you don't do your diligence to understand what you're watching and who you're watching, there's these parent-owned companies that own multiple things. And so I feel like we have to be smarter in the way that we get our information, in the way that we decide to use that information, because we might not be the ones putting it out there, but what we choose to do with it is everything. So the information that I get, what I do with that information is going to be on me, of how I show up or how I tell it or how I now tell you guys about it. So I think if we're a little bit more conscious in that, where we're like, wait a minute, let me really see where this is coming from, or let me just stand back and not have an opinion until some other shit comes out. Because, you know, I really was not jumping on the bandwagon of the George Floyd stuff. But it's been interesting to just watch it all play out to where it is today. And it's sad on so many levels just looking at it. So I think if you just do your diligence and just go, what are they trying to distract me with today? What are they trying to distract me with today? I don't know. Let's see. Where are they trying to have us not look? Maybe that's where we should look. I don't know what you guys feel, but any last closing words before we wrap up?
I'm just going to say that I agree with you there. Be conscientious of what you are taking in and where the information is coming from. Do your own due diligence to see what really makes sense. See where there are gaps and missing pieces, and just knowing that they exist, know that we are never given the whole truth.
Yeah. True shit. All right. Katrina, thumbs up.
She said she's using that thumb to hit the restart button. No nuclear powered toys for Katrina.
She's like, done.
I don't know. I don't have no. I guess because I've been always the giver and helping and giving my last and being more invested than that person. Like, you get invested and then you end up more invested than the other person, and they done moved on to something else, and you're still invested. And like you said, meeting people where they are, and it's just like, Now I'm just to the point where I'm still gonna help, but I'm gonna help from a distance. But at the same point, I'm over it.
Mm-hmm.
And may the chips fall where they may.
You know, it is what it is. All right, ladies, thank you guys so much for coming up on here with me. And we are out. Sending you guys so much love, so much light. Until next time.